I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
We made the decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Guess who just got the tea about what's going over on MAGA sides, specifically with the farmers in Arkansas? Child, them Trump tariffs is kicking their asses so bad that at the most recent NEA meeting representative assembly that took place on Friday, the farmers in Arkansas all collectively broke down in prayer. They started calling on to God. They started calling on to God because they cannot trust that Donald Trump is actually going to keep his word. See, the big beautiful bill, which a lot of these Arkansas farmers voted for, and the Trump administration is currently renaming because it did not accurately describe what was in the bill, promised a lot of the people in the agriculture industry benefits that a lot of these businesses will not live to see as they all take effect in 2026, 2027. Late 2026 and early 2027 to be exact. But like I stated, a lot of those businesses will not be around long enough to see it come into fruition. Apparently around that time, a quarter of the farming industry in Arkansas will be out of business.
Here we go again. Another fuck around and find out moment. This one, Arkansas farmers. Yep, Arkansas farmers who voted overwhelmingly for President Trump. Well, here's a quote from one of those Arkansas farmers, and I'm going to do it in my best Arkansas accent. Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September is upon us. Harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China. Yeah, no shit. You voted for the tariff guy. And now, Arkansas farmers want a handout. They want federal assistance. This poor ass red state that votes Republican every freaking year. They want a handout. You damn socialists. I guess you're finding out that racism sure is expansive, huh?
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. We want them to fail. That's what you're saying out there. That's what Americans are saying right now is, well, you know, next time you'll vote the right way.
Sir, how do y'all pray publicly the other day for God to take pity on you, but you don't take pity on the people who asked you not to vote the way that you did? How do you not see the problem here? How do you ask for empathy, ask for pity, ask for sympathy from the general public, and the general public is clapping back and telling you, like, well, what can we do? You all asked for this. You literally asked for this. He said what he was going to do. This is not something he lied about. This is what he said he was going to do. In the rare moment, he told the truth, and he's doing it. And the lie was that other countries would pay, but you knew. You're smart. You have degrees. Some of you have masters and more. You know science. You know math. You know things. You know business. You knew that he was lying about other countries paying the tariffs. You knew that that was going to have to come back on you. And you knew that there would be a risk.
Farmers in Arkansas are not realizing that racism is expensive. They thought that pulling up whiteness was a way of life. They don't even realize that they do not benefit from it, and they do not do it as part of a practice. White people and white culture has never been inclusive. It is by nature exclusive. They do not share a common interest. They share a common enemy. The whole point is to hold the line and keep brown and black, and I guess I have to be specific and say yellow, out of their communities, away from their businesses, away from their everything that they hold dear. You do not need a college degree to walk out on your own farm and see that everybody who works the jobs that nobody wants are brown and black. You knew that. And you knew that voting for this person would remove those people. In fact, I don't think these people are even asking for money from the government. I think they're asking for workers. I think all of this would clear up if they rounded people up and dropped them off at their farms. I think that's really what they want.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we need to talk about something really emotional and honestly heartbreaking. Farmers in Arkansas are crying out for help. Things are so bad right now that they are not just speaking at town halls or calling their lawmakers, they are literally gathering together to pray for survival. Yes, prayers. That's how deep this crisis has got into. Let's get into it, but before, let me play a few clips on the same and I'll be back with my own commentary. All credits goes to the original creators of each and every video you see here.
You already know that I always come with the evidence. I always have the clip, so stay tuned for the clip provided by ABC7.
Government steps in to save them. Farmers had no one to turn to but God. Farmers are lying. It's all they're closer to daily needs on this earth because we daily hear earth every day. You know, we're hurting anymore. We can't deal with what's happening to us.
Dear Lord, we are hurting here, Lord. We can't help what has happened to us. You actually could have helped it because you could have voted against it. Y'all could have voted for Kamala, but like you stated, she has a weird laugh. And here's a screenshot of the article. You can go and find it. Let's read along to the title. People have little sympathy for the Arkansas farmers who are asking Trump for emergency funding to save their farms. And because they can't trust on Trump to actually come through with these emergency funds, they started praying. I probably should have highlighted what I'm about to read, but it's in quotations at the top. It says, I have never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on. Welcome to the mentality of the average Black American here. Welcome to the mentality of the average Hispanic Latino person here. Welcome to the mentality of the average marginalized group member here in America. And to think that all of this could have been avoided, all of this could have been avoided had you just listened to those same marginalized groups. If you would have just listened to the Black Americans here in this country, to the 92%, if you would have just listened. And now, ironically, the same tool that you used to oppress the marginalized groups in this country, the Black Americans in this country, the formerly enslaved people of America, religion, Christianity, prayer, is now the only tool that you can rely on because you can't trust in your government to look out for you. You can't trust in your government to help you. How fucking ironic. And just a reminder, because I know y'all like to forget, right? Anytime, historically speaking, by the way, the Black Americans of this country stated that they needed help, they wanted to be treated fairly, they wanted equality, you told them to pray harder. You sent them to church. You told them to pray harder. That if it's really meant for them, all they had to do was pray harder and God was going to hear them. So that's my advice to you, you farmers in Arkansas. Pray harder, okay? Just keep praying. However, I do have a strong inkling that we are not praying to the same gods. I know the God that I pray to. There's only one. I don't know what you're praying to, but pray harder, okay? God bless America.
The thing about it that pisses me off even more is that I have no answer as to how to change a racist from a racist into something else. They will not learn their lesson. In fact, they'll keep getting slapped by situations like this over and over and over and never realize it's because their culture has no actual value of keeping them together and keeping things afloat. It's just about keeping people better than you below and keeping the people above you high so that you can stay where you're at. Let's not forget, Trump was president before this, and he had done similar things. And there were similar results then. There were farmers complaining about losing their businesses. This has always been an issue. Every time a Republican becomes president, this happens. Even when they become governor, this happens. They ran a dry run with DeSantis when they cracked down on immigration there, and then all of the Hispanic workers left the construction sites, and it was so hard to build a house. People couldn't renovate their houses. That happened. They knew all of this. And they did it anyway. What hurts the most is because they're a part of our society, because they're a part of our communities. If we allow them to fall, we will have a food desert crisis. We will have not enough food for 300 million Americans. And it pisses me off because they don't learn their lesson, and they never will. As much as you and I would like to leave them behind, they will never figure out their wrongdoings. They could go their whole lives and then meet one brown or black person and then go, you know what, maybe they're not that bad. That's the closest that we'll get to them realizing anything. And that they're not that bad means I can leave this person around my grill, but never around my daughter.
The other countries will not want to buy from you because they don't want to deal with the country anymore because of tariffs. And here we are. Presumably, you know the Bible and the verse of Deuteronomy that says, I call forth heaven and earth today to bear witness that I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore, choose life that you and your seed may live. And you all chose death. You all chose cursing. I'm not going to say you're living under a curse, but I am going to say you're living under consequences of your decisions. So you're not dumb. And I guess you thought either you're going to get a $28 billion bailout like the first time, or you're going to cash in and have a windfall off of those tariffs. But as is evidenced by even billionaires, and some of y'all thought like, oh, I'm a white man, I'm different. He's not going to get rid of my labor force. He's not going to send ice from my farms. Have fooled you. And you're like, I'm special, I'm different, I'm a white man. He's a white man. He's looking out for us. He doesn't look out for anyone but himself. As evidenced by billionaires sounding the alarm that that man is ruining the economy for everyone. So let's recap. You have some knowledge of God enough to pray for him, at least in your last ditch attempt to save yourselves, your money, really, not even yourselves. You're not dumb, right? So it's two things. The only other thing I'm left with is that within your heart, soul, spirit, and the marrow of your bones is the infestation of disgusting racism. That is in your heart. That is who you are. And instead of you choosing to work on it and decide not to be it, because it actually affects everything, and as we were telling you, it's expensive and nobody survives it in the end. It ruined the country once. It ruined the world once. But y'all are not dumb. You could have paid attention, but you said maybe this time it'll be different. It never works out. You didn't choose life. You didn't choose blessings. You chose death and curses. And now your seed, your literal seed, is going to die. Well, it might not die. It might be sold off for pennies on the dollar along with the land to Monsanto. So get those contracts drawn up, baby. You can't be saying that you know God, believe in God, and love God, and have none of God's love in you, and then stand up there and say, on Judgment Day, I want to answer for how I voted. How are you going to answer now? God can't get you out of situations you put yourself in, but sometimes a hard lesson has to be taught.
Farmers in Arkansas are facing one of the hardest times they have seen in decades. Prices for crops like rice, soybeans, corn, and cotton have collapsed. At the same time, the cost of fertilizers, seed, fuel, and equipment has gone through the roof because of tariffs and inflation. This has left many farmers in the red. In fact, farm economists are saying that the numbers are so bad that for every acre planted, farmers are actually losing money. Imagine working hard all the year, planting, watering, harvesting, only to realize that you're paying to farm instead of earning profit from it. That's the reality right now in Arkansas. Because of this crisis, farmers have started crying out for help in public. Meetings have been held across the state where farmers gather to share their stories. Some have admitted that they are on the brink of bankruptcy. Others are saying that they might lose land that has been in their families for generations. This desperation is real. It's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. These are families, communities, and livelihoods at risk. One powerful moment that has caught attention is that farmers have even turned out to prayers. At a gathering in Brookland, hundreds of farmers stood together, not just to demand action from the government, but also to bow their heads and pray. Farmers say that they feel abandoned. They supported policies believing that they would bring prosperity, but instead, they got higher costs and fewer markets to sell their crops. Some of them now openly admit that they did not expect things to get this bad. That's why they are begging for what they call emergency ad hoc aid. They are asking for the federal government to step in immediately because without it, many farms will not survive the next season. Farmers want that if help does not come soon, 1 in 3 farms could close for good. This cry for help has also drawn in faith leaders and local officials who are standing with farmers. Churches in rural Arkansas have started holding prayer services, asking for rain, for better prices, and for relief from crushing debt. The image of Arkansas farmers holding hands, bowing their heads, and crying while praying for survival is powerful. It tells us that this is not just an economic crisis, it's a human crisis. Behind every acre of rice or cotton is a family trying to make ends meet, feed their children, and hold on to their land. For many of these farmers, prayer is not just a tradition, it's the last hope when everything else seems to fail. The situation has become so urgent that politicians are now being pressured to act. Senators and others in Congress have promised to fight for farmers, but promises don't pay the bills. Farmers say that they need action and not speeches. They are tired of waiting while debts pile up and markets stay closed. That's why they are raising their voices louder than ever before mixing their faith with their frustration. At the end of the day, the cry of these farmers is simple. They want to be able to farm and survive. They are not asking for luxury. They are asking for a fair chance to keep their land, feed their families, and continue the tradition of farming that built their communities. Their prayers and tears are a reminder that when policy fails, it's the people of the ground who pay the price. What do you think about this crisis in Arkansas? Do you believe prayers and community will be enough, or should the government step in fast to save these farms? Drop your thoughts in the comments section and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more real talk.